If you've ever felt invisible, like the world passes by without seeing how hard you're fighting just to stay standing, then this story is for you. Because sometimes, one quiet act of kindness, one moment of being seen when you're falling apart, can change everything. Emily never expected her life to turn around that night. She didn't expect a stranger's gift to rewrite her story. But what happened inside that tiny, flickering cafe would set off a chain of kindness that would ripple far beyond her world, and maybe, after hearing it, you'll never look at a stranger the same way again. The fluorescent lights above the cafe flickered as though they too were exhausted from the long day. The smell of burnt coffee lingered in the air, mixed with the faint sweetness of pastries that had gone stale hours ago. The chairs were stacked, the floor half-mopped, and the silence hung thick, the kind that makes loneliness echo louder. Emily sat at the counter with her head buried in her hands. Her shoulders trembled, though she wasn't sure if it was from exhaustion or from trying to hold herself together one more night. No one saw what the world took from her each day. The smile she forced for impatient customers, the way she bit her tongue when someone snapped their fingers for service, or the quiet way she picked up crumbs left behind as though her dignity were one of them. Behind the uniform and tired grin was a young woman carrying the weight of too much, for too long. Her life hadn't always been like this. Once, Emily was full of dreams, literature student, poet, believer in stories that could change hearts. But the world has a cruel way of testing the dreamers. Her mother's illness drained their savings, her father left when the weight became too much, and Emily, just 22 at the time, was suddenly responsible for keeping her younger brother fed, schooled, and hopeful. Dreams didn't pay the bills, so she traded her pen for an apron and her poems for paychecks. That night had been especially hard. Her manager, a man who found fault in everything, had scolded her for being slow in front of a crowd. A group of students laughed when she tripped over a tray, one whispering, "Guess they'll hire anyone these days." She laughed too, not because it was funny, but because it hurt too much to cry in public. When her paycheck came, it was smaller than she expected. Fewer hours paid. Another quiet cut into her already bleeding hope. By the time she locked the cafe doors, her heart was heavy enough to sink her. She sat back down at the counter, face buried in her hands, whispering apologies to a God she wasn't sure was listening anymore. Her tears came slow at first, then harder, breaking through the walls she'd built to survive. And then, a sound. A faint shuffle of footsteps. Her head snapped up, eyes red, but the door was already swinging shut. No one was there. The cafe was empty again. Or so she thought. That's when she saw it, a small brown paper bag sitting at the corner of the counter. It hadn't been there before. She looked around, confused, wiping her eyes. Maybe someone had forgotten it. But it was neatly placed, tied with a thin string, and on the front was a small note in delicate handwriting. For you. Because sometimes, the smallest light can lead you out of the darkest night. Her trembling hands untied the string. Inside was a scarf, soft, new, in her favorite shade of blue. Beneath it was an envelope. Her heart raced as she opened it. A card inside read. You are seen. You are stronger than you think. Don't give up. And tucked behind the card, a stack of cash. More than she made in a month. Her knees almost gave out. She looked around wildly, hoping to catch whoever had left it, to say thank you, to ask why. But she was alone. Completely, utterly alone, except for this miracle in her hands. She pressed the scarf to her chest, and for the first time in a long time, her tears weren't born from despair. They came from something deeper, gratitude, disbelief, hope. That night, she didn't sleep. She sat awake holding that scarf, whispering the words again and again, you are seen. You are stronger than you think. Don't give up. And for the first time in months, she believed them. The next morning, the sun seemed brighter. The world hadn't changed, her bills still waited, her job still drained her, but something inside her had shifted. She wore the blue scarf around her neck like armor, walked to the cafe with her head a little higher, her steps lighter. Her coworkers noticed. Even her manager, usually sharp-tongued and impatient, paused once when she smiled through a rush hour and said softly, "Good work today." The customers, too, seemed different. Maybe it was her, or maybe kindness truly was contagious. When she smiled genuinely, they smiled back. She began saving carefully, using part of the money for overdue bills and groceries, but setting aside a small portion, not for herself, but for something she couldn't yet name. When her brother came home one day and found new textbooks on the table, he froze. Then his eyes filled with tears. How? She just hugged him tight. "Don't worry. Things are going to be okay." It wasn't just the money that changed her. It was the message. You are seen. You are stronger than you think. Don't give up. Those words became her anchor. Late at night, after long shifts, she started writing again, not because she thought it would fix everything, but because it made her feel alive. Her poems were no longer about pain alone. They were about survival, about light breaking through the cracks. When she entered one into a local writing contest, she didn't expect to win. But weeks later, an email appeared. "Congratulations, Emily, your poem has been selected for publication." Her name, printed in a magazine. Her words, read by strangers. Her voice, finally heard. She stared at the letter in disbelief, tears spilling freely. The gift had done more than help her financially, it had reminded her that she mattered. Emily never found out who left the bag. She asked coworkers, checked the cameras, even tried tracing the handwriting, but no one knew. At first, it frustrated her. She wanted to thank them, to tell them they had saved her life in more ways than one. But as time passed, she began to realize, maybe that was the point. Maybe kindness didn't need a name. Maybe it was enough that someone cared. Months passed. Life wasn't perfect, but it was better. She balanced cafe shifts with night classes, saving every spare penny to finish her degree. Her brother excelled in school, inspired by her strength. Every morning, she wrapped that blue scarf around her neck before leaving for work. It wasn't just a piece of fabric anymore, it was a promise. A reminder that she was seen. That she could keep going. Then one rainy evening, everything came full circle. She was leaving the cafe, umbrella in hand, when she saw a young woman sitting on the curb outside. Her clothes were soaked through, her face hidden behind trembling hands. Emily froze. The sight pierced her heart, she knew that look. The hopelessness. The exhaustion. The quiet breaking point. Without hesitation, she walked back inside, bought a cup of hot chocolate, and brought it out. The girl flinched when Emily approached, startled. Emily just smiled softly, draping her own jacket over the girl's shoulders. "Here," she whispered, "you're stronger than you think. Don't give up." The girl looked up, eyes wide, tears mingling with the rain. Emily didn't stay long. She just squeezed her hand, smiled, and walked away, the rain soaking through her clothes, but her heart burning with warmth. As she disappeared into the misty night, she realized something profound. The anonymous gift she once received hadn't just changed her life. It had given her the strength to change someone else's. Maybe that was the real miracle, that kindness, once given, never truly ends. It flows from one soul to another, unseen, unstoppable, eternal. And so, the chain continued, from one hurting heart to another, from darkness to light. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to share it. Because sometimes, a single act of kindness, a note, a word, a scarf, a smile, can be the very thing that saves someone's life. You may never know the difference you make, but someone, somewhere, will never forget it.